When did humans start farming?
Human beings have been practicing agriculture for thousands of years. The exact date when humans first started farming is not known, but it is generally believed to have arisen independently in several different parts of the world. There is evidence that small-scale farming was being practiced as early as 23,000 years ago in the Near East and by 12,000 years ago in Southeast Asia. Large-scale farming, which involves the cultivation of crops and the raising of livestock, is thought to have emerged later, around 10,000 years ago. Farming has played a central role in human societies throughout history and continues to be an important source of food and livelihood for people around the world.
23,000 years ago is during the Neolithic, right?
Yes, the Neolithic period, also known as the New Stone Age, was a time in human history when people began to domesticate plants and animals and to practice agriculture. It is generally thought to have begun around 10,000 years ago and to have lasted until about 3,000 years ago. During the Neolithic period, humans began to settle in one place and to engage in farming rather than hunting and gathering. This led to the development of civilizations and the rise of complex societies. The evidence for small-scale farming that dates back to 23,000 years ago is from the Near East, which is considered to be one of the regions where agriculture first emerged. This would place it in the late Paleolithic or Epipaleolithic period, which precedes the Neolithic. However, the exact timing and order of the development of agriculture in different parts of the world is still a subject of debate among historians and archaeologists.
So 23,000 years ago was the Mesolithic?
The Mesolithic period, also known as the Middle Stone Age, is a time in human history that followed the Paleolithic period and preceded the Neolithic period. It is generally thought to have lasted from about 20,000 to 10,000 years ago, depending on the region. During the Mesolithic period, humans were still primarily hunter-gatherers, but they also began to develop new tools and technologies that allowed them to adapt to changing environmental conditions. They also began to rely more on plant foods as a source of nutrition. The evidence for small-scale farming that dates back to 23,000 years ago is from the Near East, which is considered to be one of the regions where agriculture first emerged. This would place it in the late Paleolithic or Epipaleolithic period, which precedes the Mesolithic. However, the exact timing and order of the development of agriculture in different parts of the world is still a subject of debate among historians and archaeologists. It is possible that different regions experienced the transition to agriculture at different times.
The moment agriculture starts being practiced, people started forming more permanent shelters, right? As in houses made of more sturdy material.
The moment agriculture starts being practiced, people started forming more permanent shelters, right? As in houses made of more sturdy material. Yes, the development of agriculture is generally thought to have led to the emergence of more permanent settlements and the construction of houses made of more durable materials. As people began to rely on farming as a source of food, they no longer needed to move constantly in search of resources and were able to settle in one place for longer periods of time. This led to the development of more complex and larger societies, as well as the rise of civilizations. The construction of houses made of more durable materials, such as brick or stone, was also a result of the shift to agriculture and the emergence of more permanent settlements. These materials allowed people to build more sturdy and long-lasting structures that could withstand the elements and provide protection from the outside world. In many cases, the development of agriculture and the construction of more permanent settlements went hand in hand, as the availability of a reliable food supply made it possible for people to live in one place for longer periods of time.
But human behavior also changes. From a game theory perspective, it is less advantageous to be aggressive when you are an agricultural non-nomadic tribe, whereas hunter-gatherer nomadic tribes tend to benefit more from exterminating neighboring tribes and taking their goods.
It is true that the development of agriculture and the shift to more permanent settlements may have had an impact on human behavior and social interactions. In general, the transition to agriculture may have led to a more settled and less aggressive way of life, as people were able to establish more stable and self-sufficient communities. However, it is important to note that the relationship between agriculture, settlement, and behavior is complex and varied, and different societies have responded to these changes in different ways. In some cases, the development of agriculture and the emergence of more complex societies may have led to the development of more sophisticated systems of government and social organization. In other cases, it may have led to conflicts and competition over resources. It is also worth noting that hunter-gatherer societies have also been able to develop complex social systems and relationships, and not all hunter-gatherer societies were necessarily aggressive or warlike. The behavior of any given society is influenced by a wide range of factors, including cultural, economic, and environmental conditions.
In general, hunter-gatherers tend more towards conflict, but on the matter of gods and worship, how did transition to more permanent settlements influence cults and religions?
The transition from a hunter-gatherer way of life to a more settled, agricultural way of life may have had an impact on the development of religion and belief systems. As people began to live in one place for longer periods of time and to rely more on farming as a source of food, they may have begun to develop more complex and sophisticated belief systems. The emergence of more complex societies also likely led to the development of more formalized religious practices and institutions. In many cases, the rise of agriculture and the development of more permanent settlements may have been accompanied by the emergence of deities or deities that were associated with the natural world and the agricultural cycle. It is worth noting that religion and belief systems have played a central role in human societies throughout history, and the development of agriculture and more permanent settlements was just one of many factors that may have influenced the emergence and evolution of these systems. The specific ways in which the transition to agriculture and more permanent settlements may have affected the development of religion and belief systems would depend on the specific context and cultural conditions of a given society.
What are cultural religious traits common to ancient European ethnocultural groups?
There were many ancient European ethnocultural groups with diverse religious beliefs and practices. Some common cultural and religious traits that were shared by many ancient European groups include worship of gods and goddesses associated with natural phenomena, such as the sun, moon, earth, and sky. Belief in the power of magic and the supernatural, and the use of rituals and sacrifices to appease the gods or to gain their favor. A strong connection to the natural world and the belief that the natural world was inhabited by spirits or deities. The use of totems and symbols, such as animal figures or natural objects, to represent the gods or to bring luck and protection. The belief in an afterlife and the practice of burying the dead with grave goods and offerings. The use of divination, such as the interpretation of dreams or the casting of bones, to gain insight into the future or to communicate with the gods. These are just a few examples of the cultural and religious practices that were common among many ancient European groups. The specific beliefs and practices of a given group would have been influenced by a wide range of factors, including their cultural and historical context, as well as their interactions with other groups.
Are these traits present in ancient Asian traditions?
Yes, many of the cultural and religious traits that were common among ancient European groups can also be found in ancient Asian traditions. Some examples of cultural and religious practices that were common in ancient Asia include worship of gods and goddesses associated with natural phenomena, such as the sun, moon, earth, and sky. Belief in the power of magic and the supernatural, and the use of rituals and sacrifices to appease the gods or to gain their favor. A strong connection to the natural world and the belief that the natural world was inhabited by spirits or deities. The use of totems and symbols, such as animal figures or natural objects, to represent the gods or to bring luck and protection. The belief in an afterlife and the practice of burying the dead with grave goods and offerings. The use of divination, such as the interpretation of dreams or the casting of bones, to gain insight into the future or to communicate with the gods. These are just a few examples of the cultural and religious practices that were common in ancient Asia. The specific beliefs and practices of a given group would have been influenced by a wide range of factors, including their cultural and historical context, as well as their interactions with other groups.
How did these traits evolve into more formalized religion?
Many of the cultural and religious practices that were common among ancient European and Asian groups eventually evolved into more formalized religions that have played a central role in human societies. The process of the evolution of these practices into more formalized religions was complex and varied, and would have been influenced by a wide range of factors, including cultural, social, and political developments. One factor that may have contributed to the evolution of these practices into more formalized religions was the emergence of more complex societies and the development of formalized systems of government and social organization. As societies became more complex, people may have sought to establish more formalized and standardized systems of belief and practice to provide structure and stability to their communities. Another factor that may have contributed to the evolution of these practices into more formalized religions was the spread of ideas and cultural influences through trade and contact with other groups. As people came into contact with new ideas and beliefs, they may have incorporated elements of these beliefs into their own practices, leading to the development of more diverse and multifaceted religious systems. Overall, the evolution of cultural and religious practices into more formalized religions is a complex process that would have been influenced by a wide range of factors, including cultural, social, and political developments.
How did the notion of gods evolve in Europe?
The concept of gods and deities has evolved over time in many different cultures around the world. In ancient Europe, the belief in gods and deities was likely influenced by a wide range of factors, including cultural and historical developments, as well as interactions with other groups. One factor that may have contributed to the development of the belief in gods in ancient Europe was the natural environment and the role that natural phenomena played in the lives of people. Many ancient European cultures believed in gods and goddesses associated with natural phenomena, such as the sun, moon, earth, and sky. These deities were often seen as powerful forces that influenced the world around them and played a central role in the belief systems of many ancient European groups. Another factor that may have contributed to the development of the belief in gods in ancient Europe was the emergence of more complex societies and the development of formalized systems of government and social organization. As societies became more complex, people may have sought to establish more formalized and standardized systems of belief and practice to provide structure and stability to their communities. This may have included the development of more formalized belief systems that included deities or gods who were believed to have the power to shape the world and the lives of people. Overall, the development of the belief in gods in ancient Europe was likely influenced by a wide range of factors, including cultural, social, and political developments, as well as interactions with other groups.
When did the notion of spirits and demons become separate from the notion of gods?
The concept of spirits and demons, also spelled demons, is often closely related to the concept of gods and deities in many belief systems. In some cases, spirits and demons may be seen as lesser deities or as supernatural beings that have the ability to influence the world in various ways. In other cases, they may be seen as entirely separate from gods and deities, with their own distinct roles and functions. The exact point at which the concept of spirits and demons became separate from the concept of gods and deities is difficult to pinpoint, as it would likely have varied from culture to culture and from belief system to belief system. In some cases, the distinction between spirits and demons on the one hand and gods and deities on the other may have been more clearly defined, while in other cases the two concepts may have been more closely intertwined. It is worth noting that the concept of spirits and demons has a long history and has been present in many different cultures around the world. The specific roles and functions of these beings, as well as their relationship to gods and deities, have varied widely across different belief systems and cultural traditions.
Could the notion of demons come from the basal human psychology?
It is possible that the concept of demons or malevolent supernatural beings may have roots in human psychology. Many people throughout history have believed in the existence of malevolent forces or entities that can cause harm or bring misfortune. These beliefs may have arisen in part as a way of explaining and making sense of negative or frightening experiences or events that people encountered in their lives. However, it is important to note that the concept of demons or malevolent supernatural beings is not universal and has not been present in all cultures or belief systems. The specific beliefs and practices surrounding demons or malevolent supernatural beings would have been influenced by a wide range of factors, including cultural, social, and historical context. It is not possible to attribute the concept of demons or malevolent supernatural beings solely to universal aspects of human psychology.
But then how come it's so prevalent across cultures?
The concept of demons or malevolent supernatural beings is not universal and has not been present in all cultures or belief systems. However, it is true that beliefs in malevolent supernatural beings or forces have been present in many different cultures throughout history. The prevalence of these beliefs across different cultures may be due in part to the fact that people throughout history have sought to explain and make sense of negative or frightening experiences or events that they encountered in their lives. In many cases, the belief in malevolent supernatural beings may have provided a way for people to cope with or make sense of difficult or unsettling experiences. It is also worth noting that the concept of demons or malevolent supernatural beings has often been closely linked with other cultural and religious practices and beliefs. In many cases, these beliefs may have been shaped and influenced by the cultural, social, and historical context in which they developed. Overall, the prevalence of beliefs in malevolent supernatural beings or forces across different cultures is likely due to a combination of cultural, social, and psychological factors.
Not all demons are malevolent though.
You are correct that not all demons or supernatural beings are necessarily malevolent. In many belief systems, demons or supernatural beings can have a wide range of characteristics and roles, and may not always be depicted as malevolent or malevolent. For example, in some belief systems, demons or supernatural beings may be seen as neutral or even benevolent forces that can help or protect people. In other cases, they may be seen as having both positive and negative characteristics, depending on the context. It is important to note that the specific beliefs and characteristics attributed to demons or supernatural beings can vary widely across different cultures and belief systems. In some cases, the terms demon or supernatural being may be used to refer to a wide range of beings with very different characteristics and roles, while in other cases these terms may be used more narrowly to refer to specific types of beings with specific characteristics.
What is it about humans that we personify natural phenomena into supernatural entities? It's our psychology, right?
It is indeed common for humans to personify natural phenomena and attribute human-like qualities to them. This tendency to personify is often referred to as anthropomorphism. There are a few reasons why humans might engage in anthropomorphism. One reason is that it helps us to understand and make sense of the world around us. By attributing human qualities and intentions to non-human entities, we can better understand and predict their behavior. Another reason is that anthropomorphism can be a way for humans to feel a sense of control over their environment. By attributing human qualities to natural phenomena, we may feel that we have some power or influence over them. It is also possible that anthropomorphism is rooted in our psychology and may be a way for us to process and cope with the complexity of the world around us. It's worth noting that anthropomorphism is not unique to humans and can be observed in other animals as well. For example, some studies have shown that pets and other animals may respond more positively to toys or other objects that are given human-like qualities.
So we project conscious intention onto the world in order to understand it better.
Yes, it is possible that by attributing conscious intention to the world around us, we are better able to understand and predict the behavior of the objects and phenomena in our environment. This can be especially useful when we are trying to understand things that are complex or unfamiliar to us. For example, if we see a rock rolling down a hill, we might attribute the rock with the intention of rolling down the hill. This allows us to understand and predict the rock's behavior in a way that is more familiar to us. It's worth noting that attributing intention to objects and phenomena is not always accurate, and there may be other explanations for their behavior. However, this tendency to attribute intention can still be a useful way for us to make sense of the world around us.
So it is at base a heuristic mechanism.
Yes, it is possible to view anthropomorphism as a heuristic or a mental shortcut that we use to help us understand and navigate the world around us. Heuristics are mental strategies that allow us to solve problems and make decisions quickly and efficiently. They can be very useful in helping us to navigate complex or unfamiliar situations, but they can also lead to biases or errors in judgment if we rely on them too heavily. In the case of anthropomorphism, this mental shortcut can help us to understand and predict the behavior of objects and phenomena in our environment, but it can also lead to misunderstandings or incorrect assumptions if we rely too heavily on this heuristic. Overall, heuristics can be useful tools for helping us to navigate the world, but it is important to be aware of their limitations and to consider other factors and evidence when making decisions or forming judgments.
So in a way, demons are the result of heuristic mechanisms that have more effects than intended?
In the context of mythology and folklore, demons, also spelled demons or jinn, are often depicted as supernatural beings with powers or abilities that are beyond those of humans. They are often portrayed as malevolent or malevolently mischievous entities, and are sometimes associated with the concept of evil. It is possible to view the concept of demons as a result of heuristic thinking, in the sense that they may be a way for people to make sense of and explain certain phenomena or events that are beyond their understanding or control. By attributing these phenomena or events to supernatural beings with human-like qualities or intentions, people may feel that they have a better understanding of the forces at play and may feel a sense of control or influence over them. However, it is important to note that the concept of demons, as well as other supernatural entities, is not based on scientific evidence and is primarily a cultural or personal belief. In this sense, it may be more accurate to view the concept of demons as a product of myth, folklore, and cultural traditions, rather than a result of heuristic thinking.